I grew up on the land, born on the land, raised on the land, so that's my home. Today I still consider it my home.
I'm the only one that was born in a hospital, where the rest of my siblings were born out on the land.
My parents traveled a lot.
Living a traditional lifestyle, living off the land. My dad was a hunter and trapper. He had a dog team. Mostly in the wintertime, we lived in the igloo.
Some Inuits were living all along the shore. They had no houses, but in shacks, canvas tent frames. That's how their living quarters were. There were no Inuit houses at that time.
Life was simple, I'll put it that way, I think, growing up. A simple life. You did everything that you needed to survive.
We never stayed in one spot. We traveled all over for surviving and stocking for the winter.
We'd go to a lot of lakes close by from Ellis, Perry Island, and Perry River area. During the winter and spring, they would use dog team.
Ako yung nakaulahok type ko ngayon kawakin nakto.
Inoy.
Kaway maratil.
Nagkangang ito. Iji mga itutok tunagano kami. Okay yung aulangin na.
Kulang may luwi ko magamit. Uko ko takakami.
When it's springtime, the land changes. There's so much game, so much food. Nobody went hungry then.
We grew up feeding off the snow geese, the Canada geese.
My father would, basically hunt around Prairie River area. Throughout the year, it'd be caribou, char, wolverine, wolves.
We gotta have that pretty much. That was our diet, eh? Caribou meat and fish.
Ang iyong kata. Ikarok ang nakiwa nga may ikarok ang may awiyak bakto. Ikarok ang naraw na medyo. Ikarok ang may awiyak yun.
Ulam, may makutalo. Kuyuka. Kuyak na kutalo. Kapihiri ka
Mama.
There was an abundance of, wild animals.
Those are good memories in terms of just living off the land and being with my parents and nothing to worry about.
It's a good place, There was no problem surviving there. They had everything there that they needed.
Everybody during Christmas and Easter time would gather there.
Perry Island, or Innuinaqtun, we call it.
People would go do drum dancing and do a little trade.
They would have dog team races and other games. And they would stay there till after New Year's and would travel back to their hunting areas.
I think they did that because it was a form of friendship. That particular area used to be an old Hudson Bay trading post in the old days when people were trapping.
Ang raro niyo ba kakabiyani?
Dahil takot. Niyo ba?
Kakakamitan man.
And the Hudson's Bay was owned by a local Inuk named Angulalik. Stephen Angulalik, Hudson Bay.
They traded with Red Peterson. Red Peterson was one of the traders that established the Perry Island trading post.
I was a fur trade apprentice. That was a job description. There was 2 stages. There was when I traveled down there, I was helping out at the post. After we established the post, I was running the post and living there. All the merchandise we sold we only had stuff that could stand freezing and thawing again and still be good and consumable after having been frozen and rethawed. So there were many things that couldn't do that, but because we did not stock stuff like that.
There would be some groceries who could buy like sugar, tea bags, coffee, flour, lard, just to be out on the land.
And in those days, of course, you had to do everything because you wanted water, you got water. If you wanted to have bread, you baked bread. So the chore of living kept you busy.
1967 is when the HBC, the trading post, had shut down.
They had a choice to stay there or move to Cambridge Bay or to Joe Haven.
Joe, I think there was like 4 or 5 families that traveled to Joe Haven, where the rest went to Cambridge Bay.
I asked my dad, how come we're over here, you know? And he said, Hudson's Bay Post over there, trading post, was closed down or shut down.
To see that place shut down was, heartbreaking. The buildings are still there. Some of them are still usable. Most of them are damaged, to bear damage and weather damage.
My parents weren't too happy about moving to Cambridge Bay.
It was very hard for them to leave their home country.
Because there was a lot of games around where we lived during our time. Ellis River and Perry River area, Perry Island. And there wasn't too much game around Cambridge Bay when we first moved here during that time.
I've never fully get comfortable with Cambridge Bay. That's just a reality. My heart really is in my homeland area.
And I still prefer that old lifestyle that I miss,
I went there with the elders group to Perry River back in 1997, I think, and it was enjoyable. There was about 15, 20 of us in that area. We spent about a week there or 2 weeks, a week and a half there, and just reminiscing our younger activities then.
Well, for me, it was kind of emotional because, I haven't been there since my parents moved to Cambridge Bay.
I was so fascinated to see the old cabins, the old houses where, Angulalik had his first trading post.
It's a beautiful land and it has a lot to offer, sightseeing and so forth. I know many people would love to go back there because they're so familiar with it.
When I look at a map like this, it just brings back so many memories, I wish I could go back.
I would go back. I'm thinking about going to Perry again. Did you see in my lifetime that I went through when I was growing up?
If I had $1 million, I'd go back there in an instant. That's what I, miss about living off the land at Perry.
The land seems to be so welcoming, approaching, and so peaceful. And it's something much like magical effects on it.
It's where my ancestors were from. They grew up there, and it's a place where I long to be.